I've always had a love for symphonic pieces, for symphonies as we've known them throughout the ages, be them older pieces, be them newer pieces. And that's obviously what the composers always intend to do with them. They create stories, they create things for you to think about. And I think particularly with my album Symphony, I created it at a very thought-provoking time of my life. First of all, with the symphony album, I made it over a period of about 4 years. And there was a lot of dark in them, a lot of light in them. And that was also why I think I called the album Symphony. With the visual side of everything, it has a very sort of gothic look. It has a feeling of fairy tale within it, folklore. There's a sort of dark romanticism within it. And I think also because of coming from Europe myself, I felt that somewhere like, the Cathedral of Stephansdom would be absolutely perfect for it. It's an amazing Gothic cathedral. Stephansdom is really a landmark in Vienna and is absolutely steeped in history and probably music history as well. Of course, you had Mozart who frequented the cathedral many times. There was Beethoven, there was Haydn. It's a very special place, and the cathedral itself is when you walk into it, it envelops you. It's large, but at the same time you feel very at home there and quite cozy. Also, I wanted a sort of area architecturally that suggested faith as well. That was important. I think it's probably, of all the cathedrals in the world, it's probably one of my favourites, and that was why it was important for me to perform this concert there. The Viennese people have been absolutely wonderful. I've actually performed a few concerts in Vienna, one being quite a while back when I was much younger, and I was terrified because they really know their music and they love music, and my performances and experiences there with their audiences have been absolutely amazing. They've been very appreciative. They've really listened, and this audience particularly were wonderful. I think that they weren't necessarily used to having a performance of this type in their cathedral, but they were very appreciative of it, so it was great.
Quando penso ai giorni che ho passato insieme a te, io vorrei che tu tornassi qui per non lasciarmi mai.
During my time in working in Italy and training in Italy, I had, of course, heard of Alessandro Safina. And then I saw that he was singing in the movie Moulin Rouge, and then I saw his career start to really flower. And I always wanted to work with him, do something with him. So I decided, I rang him and called and said, would you like to do a song with me on this album? I think I have the perfect one for your voice.
Il mio cielo splende di quell'anima che ha, nel mio cuore per tutta la vita tu un posto avrai. Io non ti chiedo dove sei e dove io sarai qui.
And he tried it out, and it went forward. So of course to have him singing on this Stephansdom performance was a pleasure. And he's a lovely man, he's beautiful looking, beautiful Italian tenor, and with a gorgeous voice. Fernando Lima has the most gorgeous voice. My record company, actually, they'd known that I'd always wanted to work with a countertenor and had been looking for somebody to work with, and suggested Fernando, and I listened to his voice and it was just gorgeous. We had the perfect song, Passion, to sing together, and to perform with him in the cathedral was just gorgeous because his angel voice comes out and it's a beautiful experience. I had always known about Chris Thompson, you know, him being known from Manfred Mann, and he's been around doing amazing things in the world with that amazing sort of rock voice for years and years and years. And in fact, I recorded with him about 12 years ago a song on one of my albums, and it was very successful in continental Europe.
Leave and let me go. I will think of you, I know. Carry on, I'll stay strong.
The song Where the Lost Ones Go is an interesting song because in a way I suppose it's about lost love and two people understanding that they can't keep it together anymore. She says in the song, I'm going where the wind blows, going where the lost ones go. It's that moment, you know, when you're getting over a relationship, which is a strange place. And I just thought he would be perfect to sing this with me in the cathedral.
My power over you grows stronger yet, and though you turn from me to cleanse behind, the phantom of the other is there inside your...
Chris was great as a phantom. I remember we were up there sort of where the organ pipes were way above the audience and high up in the cathedral at the back, and he sort of looked across at me and he said, I can't believe I'm singing this song, this is great, thank you for asking me. And I said, well, you're great at it. preparation I did for this particular live concert and TV show was a different type of preparation that one would do for a tour you were putting on. In many ways it was easier because the atmosphere of the cathedral gave a lot, so one wasn't having to build sets and think of that side of things. But at the same time, because one was in a religious area, one had to take care of how people, the choir, would place the orchestra. You know, there's some beautiful work and architecture in that area, and you have to be very, very careful. And of course, we were all in there with our wires and our technical things, and so one had to take it into account and be sort of reverent towards where we were.
I thought all I needed was to believe.
The evening itself was different because of the area that we were in. I think the audience, it was difficult for them to sort of probably applaud more easily because they were in a cathedral. So at first it's like, oh, we really enjoyed this, but what do we do? Are we allowed to clap as loud as we like? It's not an area that you can shout and go, hey, Sarah, that you normally get in audiences. So that was a different, but that in itself created its own atmosphere. The atmosphere was quite poignant. It was interesting. It was different for me.
It's gone quiet around us now. How I wish you would hold me and that you never told me. And it's better if you leave.
When you think of the word Gothic, I mean, obviously there's a history to the word and why it's there. I mean, it originates, I suppose, the word from Germany originally, parts of Scandinavia, and these people a long time back were called the Goths. They had their own language. When you start going into areas like Goth in rock music, it was intellectual at the time it came out. I think sort of like the 70s, 80s it started in rock music. So there are different parts of things of what Gothic actually means to different people. Also, there's very much as I said, the positive part of life within it. There's the dark side of life, but all the elements within it are all needed to create something of going onwards. With the song Fleur du Mal, when I was rehearsing it, what I wanted to do for the performance was run all the way up the sort of centre aisle towards the altar, as if I was running from something that wasn't good, that was bad, that was evil, towards the altar, which for me was obviously something very positive, God, all of those things. And the first rehearsal, the floor, obviously because it has been walked on by so many millions of people throughout the years, was really slippery, and I felt flat on my face. So unfortunately that didn't happen. So as you see, there's a beautiful walk up through the corridor. as I initially intended, but still very, very dramatic, because the song is very dramatic. It's about trying again to get out of the pattern, the circle, which isn't so positive, into the good in one's life, and that's what the song is really all about.
This is me and you. We are running to change the world. Where hope is shining through.
Running was originally written for a sports event, a very well-known sports event in Japan. Of course, the first and last part of the music we all know as Holst, Jupiter, and of course in England it was created at a certain point as a hymn as well, so it was something that the people were very used to singing in church and knew it as this particular hymn. I put new lyrics to it, and then there was a piece created in the middle for the sports event, and it became so popular in the East that we thought it would be a wonderful piece to put on the album and also to sing in the church, because of course it was hymn-like. It's a great piece of music and people really enjoy it, especially a live audience. Canto della Terra, I performed with Alessandro Safina, and it's a beautiful love song. It's about all the things that we understand within love, and Italian, earthy, beautiful. It's one of my, it's a particular favourite actually of mine on the album. It's incredibly powerful, and what's beautiful about it is it gives the female soprano voice a chance to be very light and easy and conversational, and then gives her a chance to rock. It is a very sort of beautiful, thought-provoking piece about life, about thoughts, about love, about losing. Originally the intermezzo, or known as the intermezzo Mascagni. Beautiful piece to sing. We put lyrics to it, Italian lyrics. It was actually quite, because it was originally written as an instrumental, it's quite a difficult piece to sing, because what a composer would write for an instrument wouldn't necessarily write for the human voice. So it was one that I had to work on for quite a long time, but I think I'm nearly there. It's a sort of piece I think I will be working on the rest of my life to get perfect, but a beautiful piece of music.
Nunca te faltará alguien en quien confiar.
Passion, again, the title of it says everything. It's passion, and it's a beautiful piece of music written by a very famous South American writer who writes a lot for film, for television, very loved over there, and in fact has been a huge hit in Mexico and various places in South America as well.
La pasión es como un viento inquieto que se convierte en libertad. Es saber que hay alguien más que vive deseando poderte encontrar. Es viajar sin miedo entre las estrellas y la inmensidad. Es atravesar el fuego, caminar sobre las aguas, convertir un sueño en realidad.
Of course, sung with Fernando Lima, who does have a voice of an angel, and a male angel. And no, it's a beautiful piece of music. Let It Rain is a new piece of music written by two people that I have known for a long time, and I think they wrote it around a part of my personality, which is often when things aren't going well, I just say, okay, let it all go, it doesn't really matter anyway, and actually it helps me get on with something.
Where do we end? Where do we begin? Are we lost or must we lose to win? Are we free to choose the lives we live?
You know, you get to that breaking point, and in a way that's what the song was all about. They got part of my personality there.
Quando penso ai giorni che ho passato insieme a te, io vorrei che tu tornassi qui per non lasciarmi mai.
The song Sarai Kui was actually originally a huge hit in America and many parts of the world, and of course was written by the amazing composer Diane Warren, and it was really interesting to actually change this into a more operatic piece which could be good for a tenor or high baritone and soprano. And again I asked Alexandro Safina if he would duet this piece with me, and in fact it came out much better than I expected.
Il mio cielo splende di quell'anima che hai. Nel mio cuore per tutta la vita tu un posto hai. Ti chiedo dove sei e dove io sarò, sarai qui.
Sì.
Storia d'amore was originally, I think, an instrumental piece written for guitar, and it was again very interesting to create or make this into a song with Italian lyrics, and actually it has a very sort of Handel feel to me, and it's really gorgeous to sing. It lies well in the voice.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say when now suddenly you feel so far away and you're not prepared to talk. And if you're now afraid to listen, then I don't want to do this anymore.
Symphony was a big hit in Germany a few years ago, and I felt it would be a wonderful piece to do in English, and put English lyrics to it, which I did. And it's an incredibly powerful song because it has that feeling of rock within it as well as classical. And I did it my own way. It was very different to the original, but it came out really, really well, and I'm happy with it.
Symphony, it's gone quiet around us now. I wish you would hold me, and that you never told me it's better if you leave. Look at the sun. We're starting to lose all of the light where we once went so brightly. So tell me we might be not throwing it away.
In fact, it's an amazing performance piece because it can include very easily a band and a huge orchestra, and it's incredibly dramatic. And yet the voice doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be very quiet, very lyrical, very easy. It's a conversation piece, which is in what it says and what it says musically is incredibly dramatic and very powerful.
Quando solo sogno l'orizzonte e manca le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me su le finestre mostrano.
Wherever I do time to say goodbye, it can be in any situation, whenever I'm performing, any situation, any country in the world, it gets an amazing response. People, even if they're not music lovers and don't know it, they're entranced by it. It's a very special piece of music.
Time to say goodbye. Adesso si vivrò con te, partirò.
I think when you come across a beautiful piece of music that feels perfect, it doesn't matter what language you're singing in. If it's sung with the intention of what it's meant to say, it's going to work. Even if people are not understanding, they're understanding the intention of it, and it touches them. And I think this particular piece is one of those.
St. Stephen is a wonderful cathedral in the heart of Vienna. It's the real religious and spiritual center of Vienna. We have every day 7 holy masses from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening. So it is a wonderful possibility for thousands of people every day to come inside in this wonderful cathedral to enlarge your sight of life.
There's been a cathedral on this spot for 850 years. The foundation stone was laid in 1147. A Romanesque cathedral was built here. That's a long time ago, time of the Crusades. Any of you who've been to New York and visited the cloisters will have seen some of these fascinating cloisters and doorways and pillars from all over Europe that date from the same time that this cathedral was first started. Only parts of it survive. The main door is still there and the towers either side. But in 1359, Rudolf IV started to build this great Gothic cathedral. And it's a bit of a miracle, really, that it's still here, because Vienna's been bombarded on many occasions through the years. In 1683, the Turks surrounded Vienna. And there are many, many fascinating stories of how Vienna survived that time. The good thing about the Turks was that they left coffee. Vienna's famous for its coffee houses. In 1805 and 1809, Napoleon bombarded Vienna and the cathedral was damaged again. But it was in 1945 when the Germans were retreating and they set fire to the cathedral and it was almost completely destroyed. The great bell, the Pummerum bell, which is so well known, which only rings at New Year and special feast days, in 1945, this great bell fell through the roof and destroyed all sorts of beautiful statues, and the ruins were almost complete. But the people of Vienna were so devastated by the almost destruction of their beloved cathedral, they rushed on the streets and picked up pieces of glass and statues and anything that they could find. And by 1952, the cathedral had been restored as it is today, really a monument to survival.
Music is a universal language. Every day we have in the Holy Mass wonderful music of Mozart or von Haydn, from wonderful composers which have given us wonderful works of music.
Music has always been a very, very great part of life in the cathedral. Vienna has always been a magnet for musicians, and many great musicians have come here and lived here and worked here. Vivaldi, Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, Mahler, they all came from other places to live and work here.
Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart has very familiar connection with St. Stephen's because he wanted to be the music director here in St. Stephen, was the choir of the cathedral, and he married here. He brought his children to the baptism in the church, and his funeral mass, his own funeral mass, was celebrated in St. Stephen.
In 1791, the Kapellmeister was quite elderly and very ill, and Mozart was made vice Kapellmeister with the promise that when this man died, Mozart would become Kapellmeister. But by a cruel stroke of fate, Mozart died first, and so he never ever became the Kapellmeister of this great cathedral. Another of the great musicians that's associated with the cathedral is Joseph Haydn. He was a choir boy here too, and he and Mozart were very, very great friends. And when Mozart came to live in Vienna in 1781, Haydn did a lot to encourage him and introduce him to people. And they used to play only a few yards just across the road from the cathedral, in the house where Mozart lived when he was at the height of his powers. This house is in the Domgasse. It's known as the Figaro House. And he wrote The Marriage of Figaro there. He also wrote many of his great piano concertos and also the 6 quartets that he dedicated to Haydn. And Haydn used to come and play quartets with Mozart on many occasions.
Every child in Vienna is coming to the cathedral with a guided tour, and so in the first years of my primary school I came and I was deep impressed because it is the largest church I have ever seen. Our cardinal, our Archbishop Christoph Schönborn, had said, other cathedrals are admired, but the Viennese people love the cathedral. Saint Stephen the Protomartyr is the patron of our cathedral. He was very common in the Middle Age. He was ready to give his life for the belief to Jesus, and he prayed in the last moments of his life for the people they have persecuted him. And so it is a good symbol for us.
I'm told that when Sarah Brightman was asked to do this wonderful concert, she said that of all the places in the world she'd like to do it, Vienna was the place she'd like to come to. And so she's part of a long line and a tradition of musicians who feel this need to come and be in Vienna and to be part of the musical tradition here.